What up, what up, what up, what up, what up, guys? This is the gospel according to Mark with a C. He is I, and I am he. Just taking some time to tell you exactly what's on my mind. Thank you for joining me once again, my friends. I hope all is well with you guys. Do me a favor, please hit the like, share, subscribe. Make sure you remain subscribed. And of course, guys, if you want to contribute to the channel monetarily, you may do so by hitting the super thanks feature on each and every one of my videos right there along the bottom of the screen. And also, you can find a Cash App in the pinned comment below. Thank you guys for the engagement. Thank you for the comments. Just you being here means everything to me. Now, guys, let's talk about this, all right? Suspected by no one else, I'm sure, of being hip hop's oldest industry plant, Snoop Doggy Dogg, finds himself raising some eyebrows. He was in the news last week because he actually got caught seemingly speaking his mind on the It's Giving podcast, wherein he talked about his experiences as a grandfather. And you know something, guys? It still seems weird to me to hear the artists that I grew up with talking about how they're grandparents now. You know what I mean? Like I'm their age too. You know what I mean? So that's weird to me, but it is what it is. We're old enough. But anyway, he was talking about the trials and tribulations of being a grandparent when you go into these modern movies that are made for modern audiences and being hijacked, bamboozled, jumped, ambushed with certain messages, progressive messages, you might say. In this case, we're talking about sexuality, homosexuality, and we're talking about the movie Lightyear. So he made these comments, and we're going to get into what those comments were in a minute. But as a result of making those comments, there was quite a backlash against Snoop Doggy Dogg, and apparently he issued an apology. Now, the latest update on this story is that he did nothing of the sort. So we're going to look at this story in the Hollywood Reporter, where it's saying that it was a fake, a F-A-K-E. It was a fake. So let's look at this real quick, guys. It says here, Snoop, all right, Snoop Dogg's rep says the comments addressing backlash over his criticism of LGBTQ representation are a fake. Cue up the Alexander O'Neal. You're a fake, baby. And I'm disgusted. It says here the rapper previously said the same sex couple included in the 2022 movie or Disney movie Lightyear threw me for a loop. So it says here, a rep for Snoop Doggy Dogg is saying that comments posted on Instagram responding to the backlash he's received after he criticized the LGBTQ representation in Disney's 2022 animated movie Lightyear are fake. Someone claiming to be the rapper and hip hop icon recently wrote in the comments of a Hollywood Unlocked Instagram post, which features T.S. Madison calling him out in the comments now. See, I didn't know that. This was just some random comment on Instagram. And people ran with it thinking this was really Snoop Dogg. I mean, bro, I wouldn't have thought it was Snoop Dogg if I just saw a random comment of somebody claiming to be Snoop Dogg. There's a million people out there who will do something like that. But okay, whatever gets the engagement, I suppose. So apparently, this person said, I was just caught off guard and I had no answer for my grandsons. Uh, all my gay friends, I guess he's talking about Dr. Dre, maybe. Maybe he's talking about Eminem, maybe. Half the industry are your gay friends. Snoop, as a matter of fact, to get anywhere in the industry, some people say you have to engage in certain activity. So anyway, he says, all my gay friends know what's up. They've been calling me with love. I bet. My bad for not knowing the answers for a 6-year-old. Teach me how to learn. I'm not perfect, the person claiming to be Snoop added. He wants to know what love is. He wants them to show him. He wants to know. Anyway, moving on. It says here, however, now his rep is saying those comments were not written by the rapper. It's unclear who's behind them. It could be anybody. You're in the comment section of Instagram, bro. Like I said, I don't even know why people thought it was him to begin with. But anyway, just to get you up to date, last week the Gin and Juice rapper shared on the It's Giving podcast that he was surprised when he took his grandchildren to see Pixar's Toy Story spinoff, as it featured a montage of two women sharing a kiss and raising a child together. So let's get into what he had to say about that for those of you who don't know. So he's sitting there with his grandkids, and they're like, she had a baby with another woman, Snoop recalled on the podcast, which appeared to remove his comments on the matter from the YouTube episode. So you can no longer see them on that episode on YouTube. They claim it was an accident, but come on, bro, you know. Well, my grandson in the middle of the movie is like, Papa Snoop, how she have a baby with a woman? She is a woman. The drop it like it's hot artist remembered thinking at the time, oh shit, I didn't come in for this shit. I just had to watch the goddamn movie. Snoop said he tried telling his grandson, hey man, just watch the movie. But he just kept firing off questions. They just said she had a baby. They're both women. How did she have a baby? I'm innocent. I'm innocent. The doggy style rapper said. It fucked me up, Snoop added. I'm like scared to go to the movies now. Y'all throwing me in the middle of shit that I don't have an answer for. It threw me for a loop. I'm like, what part of the movie is this? These are kids. We have to show that at this age? They're going to ask questions. I don't have the answer. Lightyear, the origin story of the human space ranger Buzz Lightyear, included the LGBTQ relationship between Buzz's best friend and commander Alicia Hawthorne and her wife Kiko, with glimpses of their life as a couple and there was an on-screen kiss. All right, I think that movie flopped, so probably a lot of people felt the same way that Snoop felt about it, allegedly. Okay, because like I said, I really do feel like Snoop is an industry plant. So all of this is probably going on for a reason. We just don't know it yet. You know, maybe his grandson will come out as trans at some point in the future. I mean, I hope not, but I'm just saying, bro, I don't trust any of these Hollywood people. All right, so anyway, the screenwriter Lauren Gunderson defended her decision to include the queer couple in the film. And she said, now this would be the screenwriter, Lauren Gunderson, she said, I was one of the few writers they had on it over the years, which is very common for screenwriting, of course. I had very little to do with the final script that she wrote on Instagram. But I was proud to see a happy queer couple, even for a few seconds on screen, because I know they got a lot of shit for this inclusion. But stuff like this matters because beautiful love like this still exists. Oh, butterflies! Gunderson continued, it's not fiction. What is fiction is Zorg and lightspeed, space travel, and murderous aliens and a talking robot cat. See, this is that gaslighting thing that they always do, right? When they want to talk about injecting real world issues into these fantasy stories, they always say stuff like, you got no problem with lightsabers and wizards and flying dragons, but you got a problem with putting gay people in there. Well, you just told on yourself, Lauren, because yes, it is not fiction. It is fiction, what we're talking about. It is fantasy. Like I said with Star Wars, you're talking about galaxy far, far away. When you talk about Star Trek, you're talking about going where no man has gone before. You're going away from this. So you take your nonfiction wanting to inject stuff into S and keep it in nonfiction. Keep fiction and nonfiction separate, especially when it comes to being so on the nose, when it comes to being forced. When you talk about fiction, when you talk about fantasy, you're employing the usage of metaphor as a storytelling device. Metaphorically speaking, you don't hammer these things into fantasy and fiction, not fantasy or sci-fi anyway. All right. So anyway, Gunderson also had this to say. I mean, here she's sounding a little bit, she's dialing it back. But here in this one, on let me see, this was on Instagram, she's a lot more proud. She's a lot more out and proud. And she says, "So, I created the Lightyear Lesbians. In 2018, I was a writer at Pixar. Such a cool place. Grateful to work there. Learned a ton from kind and impressive creatives. As we wrote early versions of what became Lightyear, a key character needed a partner." I love how they say that. A partner. And it was so natural to write she instead of he. It was natural to write she instead of he. I don't know. When I'm writing, either I'm writing he or she. There's nothing really unnatural or natural about that. The natural order of things is you just write. All right, this was more deliberate. She says, "As small as that detail is in the film, I knew the representational effect it could have." Okay, so there you have it. Just like I said before, this was intentional. There was nothing natural about it. She's trying, I love how they try to act like that. Like this is just something natural. You're going against nature. Nature, by the way, is man and woman procreating to have children. That is what is natural. It's not natural for a man to put his member into another man's poop chute. No, that is not natural. It's not natural for a woman to have a surgery to put some phallic object onto her body so she can put it into somebody else, to have a strap on. I mean, all that stuff. I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but it's not natural. You understand what I'm saying? All right. So that's all I'm saying, guys. It's like if I had hair, and like back in the day, we all had too many, not all, but too many black people had Jerry curls. All right. Might look nice to you, but it wasn't natural. If natural is what grows out of your head, but so anyway, so she says, "As small as that detail is in the film, I knew the representational effect it could have. Small line, big deal. I was elated that they kept it. I'm proud of it to infinity. Love is love." And there they are. Okay, so love is love. Like I said, they make it sound so beautiful. The only question is why you were so insistent on putting that into a film with children, right? Why do trans people have to go to libraries to read to toddlers? Okay? Why? Somebody tell me why. If there is no agenda, why do you target children and think that nobody is going to identify that as grooming? Why? If you have an answer for that, get into the comment section and tell me. Now, of course, there was a blowback to everything, and some people remember America's ass. Chris Evans, Captain America, weighed in on this a few years ago when this movie actually came out. All right, so let's see what Chris Evans had to say. You guys might remember this. Here he is. Back in 2022, Chris Evans called anti gay viewers of the film Lightyear idiots. He called you idiots if you had a problem with showing this representation to your children, your underage children. You're idiots and you're going to die off like dinosaurs, he said. The real truth the real truth is that those people are idiots. There's always going to be people who are afraid and unaware and trying to hold on to what was before. But those people die off like dinosaurs, he continued. I think the goal is to pay them no mind, march forward, and embrace the growth that makes us human. It's interesting terminology he's using there, to die off like dinosaurs. The quickest way to die off like dinosaurs is have the majority of your world's population be homosexual. I'm sorry, but it's the truth. All right. Engaging in homosexual sex will not produce humanity. All right. I'm not trying to be disrespectful. This is just a fact. All right. Homosexual sex does not produce children. Okay. So some people might even think that this whole push to normalize this lifestyle is nothing but depopulation to begin with. I'm not saying that's what I believe, but I've heard other people say that. Now, the backlash continues in Hollywood. You might have seen this one. Just want to wrap this up real quick, guys. You have Marlon Wayans. Now you know Marlon Wayans has been making news because I think his son or daughter or something like that has come out as trans. So now he's become outspoken, an outspoken advocate in much the same way as Pedro Pascal, you know, with his brother, sister, whatever. So this was on Instagram. Marlon Wayans claps back at Snoop Dogg. All right. So Marlon Wayans to Snoop, he says, the Hollywood agenda makes kids empathetic, not gay. And Marlon says, I'm tired of defending this niggle. I defended him on his criminal shit, the gay king situation or the Gayle King situation, and I took heat for defending him online when he performed for Trump. But this crosses the line. Sooner or later, you just realize someone has issues. Issues because he wants to protect his grandkids when they go to a movie. He wants to expose them to what he's ready to expose them to. Like there was no disclaimer, there was no warning, there was no parental advisory. Like I think when you're talking about a G-rated movie, you should be free from these questionable topics. What do you guys think? Tell me in the comment section. Otherwise, you should get something like a PG-13 rating, maybe even an R rating. I don't know. Parental guidance is suggested. There's nothing wrong with that, right? This is the dumbest shit I've ever heard. Disney characters lie, steal, cheat. See, here we go again. Disney characters lie, steal, cheat, kill, poison, and everything. And don't nobody say it's an agenda to turn their kids into a piece of shit. Oh, Marlon, you haven't been watching my videos. Representation matters, especially in the black community. This is what I've been talking about for years. So that whole argument just falls apart because that's exactly what I have been doing. I watched Snow White when I was a kid, and they know, and I ain't give a bitch a poison apple yet. But as soon as a gay character pops up, it's an agenda. The agenda is to make your kids empathetic, not gay. White tea people acted the same way when black people started being seen on TV. All right, for my white brothers and sisters, by the way, if you didn't realize that by now, when you see those letters YT, they're talking about white people. YT, whitey. Okay, so he says when white people acted the same way when black people started being seen on TV. Well, Marlon and everyone else who thinks this way, who keeps on trying to draw this equivalency between black people and LGBTQ, let me just say this. You see black people, okay? Black people were seen and racist people didn't like it. We get identified immediately by how we look, by the color of our skin. Ain't no taking that back. You can't see a sexuality. You have to be shown a sexuality. Someone has to tell you that they're gay. Someone has to tell you about their sexual preferences. It's not the same. You have to go out of your way to do that because you see, black people also are LGBTQ. Okay. So it's not like it's just, and I've made this point before, it's not like it's just black people and then it's gay people and the same thing happened to black people the way they're happening to gay people. No, no. There are black people who are part of that community. There are white people. There are Spanish people, Indian people, Asian people that are part of that community. So there is no equivalency to be drawn by that. Black people get identified on site. Gay people have to broadcast themselves. That's the reason why they say, I come out. I'm out. When is the last time you saw a black person come out as being black? I guess you didn't know that about me. I might as well, since that's the case, in case you didn't know that, I'm going to take this video, this opportunity to come out as black. I hope you love me. So anyway, the second thing he said, um, there's no agenda. All right. The agenda is to make your kids empathetic, not gay. Guys, you might remember real quick, I did this video talking about Barack Obama. Barack Obama urges young men, urges, that's a strong word. Barack Obama, former President Barack Obama urges young men to befriend, young men to befriend gay people who can help teach them empathy and kindness. Okay, so we're going down here and we're talking about how Barack reflected on his own life and explained how his relationship with his college professor, who was an openly gay man. Once again, he's openly gay. When's the last time you heard somebody be openly black? Although these days you hear people saying I'm unapologetically black, but that's not exactly the same. Help share his perspective on a variety of things. I had a gay professor in college at the time when openly gay folks still weren't out a lot. Of course, they weren't out a lot. Remember that, guys, okay? They had a choice. They chose to come out. Who became one of my favorite professors and was a great guy and would call me out when I started saying stuff that was ignorant. Barack recalled, you need that to show empathy and kindness. And he says that he thinks that's what young people need, all right, to have gay people in their lives, to teach them empathy. Okay, so that sounds like an agenda to me. All right, let's stop the bullshit. It is an agenda. Everybody knows this. It's like that out loud secret, you know? So, of course, when you see this in children's programming and children's content, I believe that adults, parents, grandparents, uncles, caretakers, we should be critical of these things. We should question it, and it shouldn't just be thrown out there for people to just stumble into because children are going to have questions. And when you're sitting in a movie theater, it's probably not exactly the right time to have that conversation. So let's stop being dumbasses about this. Let's stop being gaslit about this or gaslighted and just call it for what it was. You know, for his part, whatever Snoop's agenda is himself, he's right. Okay, I don't know what's going to come from all of this because, like I said, everything that comes out of his mouth is suspect to me. But you kind of just take it for what it is, guys. And what he was actually saying was right. So we're going to see where all of this goes. The real story is probably in the future about what this is and what it means, because I think they're just trying to put, this conversation out there to begin with, guys. But anyway, you tell me what you think about all of this, what Snoop had to say about his apology, whether his apology was fake or not. Is there an agenda, do you think, with these children's shows? If it's not, then why is it everywhere, guys? When my son was little, this is how fast it happened. When my son was little, you didn't see a whole lot of that. But just in the few years, he's going to be 17 this week. Just in the few years since he's been growing up, you see it in everything. As a matter of fact, that's why he stopped watching what was it, The Loud House and everything. There was a character on there, the black character, the boy. Uh, he had two parents, two men, two fathers. And my son was like, why is this everywhere, Dad? And he just got tired of it, fatigued. That's the key word today. But anyway, guys, tell me how you feel about all of this stuff. Do you feel it's an agenda? Do you feel Snoop is right? Get in the comment section. It's your turn to speak. As always, guys, you can like, you can share, you can subscribe, like I said before, after watching this long-ass video, if you get to this part. If you want to contribute to the channel, you may do so using the Super Thanks or the Cash App in the pinned comment below. All right, guys, thank you for listening. I will catch you on the next one. This is The Gospel According to Mark with a C. Rock on.